Locally owned and operated for over 50 years, Delaware Camera is your #1 spot for all your camera needs: education, accessories, printing, and more. Located at 2635 Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. Visit cameraspot.com.
Are we on YouTube? We're on YouTube. Hey, Delaware Camera people and Jack's people, for those in Philly. This is our Tuesday Tech Talk, True Believers Tuesday Tech Talk that we do every Tuesday, right from upstairs here at Delaware Camera. Today we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about lunar eclipse photography with my friend Luca. And we're going to talk about the new Canon cameras that are coming out, because us two are Canon fans, even though we carry other stuff here, but we're Canonites, as they say. So anyway, so let's get into the housekeeping. It's a very busy Delaware Camera right now. Even like presently, we're busy downstairs, so it's cool. So stop in, because we'll help you out, all that good stuff. So housekeeping, let's see, what do we got, Will? Classes. I know we talk about rentals and stuff. We're not going to talk about that today because that's a given. We do rentals and such, so I'll just leave it at that. Go on our website. You can sign up for rentals there. Another cool thing we're starting this week, if you watch this video and you're looking for accessories, stop in, tell us you saw this video on YouTube or Instagram. We'll give you 10% off an accessory. That's not a camera or a lens. That's like a bag, tripod, things like that. We'll give you 10% off if you say you saw me talk about this on the video.
Can I use that?
Definitely.
All right, cool.
Of course. You might get better prices though.
All right.
Anyway, for now becoming a friend of the store, a real friend of the store. So
awesome.
So we're doing that. We're talking about classes because I just solidified a bunch of classes that for this month. They're online, which is normal for now. So the things I have coming up, we have our normal classes. The cycle is starting on the 14th every Tuesday. Basic composition, light and exposure, Tuesday the 14th, and the 21st and the 28th. We have a bunch of other classes coming up too, which is we're pretty excited about. We've been working on these forever to get these out to you guys. So 6/14 is our rescheduled Capture Hacks class with Tamron. We were supposed to have it a couple weeks ago, but somebody got sick, so we couldn't do it. So it's going to be on the 14th. The Eventbrite link will be up soon, the redone link. So sign up for that. It'll be in a couple weeks. So 2 weeks from today's, I don't know, the 14th, whatever day of the week that is, we'll have it up.
What's that about?
Capture Hacks. It's experimental photography and Capture Hacks.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, there'll be it's free. It'll be online. Tamron always has something cool up their sleeve. As far as other Tamron classes that we have,
Tuesday the 14th.
Thank you, Will. Tamron is doing a zoo photography class on the 30th. So they're gonna have that class, tell you about how to take good pictures of animals in the zoo and things like that. We're gonna hopefully have a photo walk soon after that, but we're still in negotiations for that. So
there's a lot of cool stuff set up at the zoo right now. It's like
is there?
Yeah, like a whole bunch of those like lantern animals. So
awesome.
It's really cool looking.
So
right
hopefully
now.
we'll get that together and show you people some good stuff. You people. So we did Capture Hacks. We did the zoo, which I didn't write down. So zoo. So Canon has some classes for us as well. Canon has a macro class on 6/21 that they're doing for us, and they have a sports class, a sports and action photography class on 7/26. It's molded around Canon cameras, but if you have other kinds of cameras, you can also still take the class because it's kind of universal. There might be some different settings for your camera, but if you're smart and know that you are, you'll be able to kind of see how it works with your camera.
Are they going to advertise the R7 in that class?
Hopefully. Although this was made before the R7 was even a thought in their mind.
Really?
Yeah, they gave us a bunch of classes that they get a list of them, and we kind of like. But they should have that in there, so I'm sure they'll throw some stuff in there. So we did macro, we did the zoo. Every year we have a special class for Ride for Roswell. It's a benefit class One of our old employees, Nicole Cook, does the Ride for Roswell every year, and we do a class to raise money for her ride. This year, the class is on 6/20. It'll be a street photography class. I think Vicente, who used to work here, is doing that as well. So it'll be up soon. We'll have an e-blast. We'll have a link. We'll put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, all those cool places where we advertise what we do. So keep an eye out for that, and hopefully you can come to that class or contribute as well to Nicole's ride. Nicole Cook, her Ride for Roswell. She does it every year. We always try to do good by her because she was a great employee, and Ride for Roswell is a great cause. So we enjoy doing these classes every year. We were thinking of having it in person this year, but maybe a little too early for that. Plus, if it's online, people can do it from anywhere. If they're in our Philadelphia region, you can do it there as well. So that's always cool as well. What's going on with the Instagram, Will?
Stephen Neff.
What's Stephen Neff got to say? Is he coming in?
Live BTS on Instagram. Lucas rocks.
Nice. Yeah, I've worked with him a few times. I like him a lot.
Yeah, Stephen's
He's
the
fun.
man. Yeah, he should be here, but he's not here right now.
That's the Fuji guy, right?
No, Lawa. Oh no, he is a Fuji guy. Yeah, he shoots Fuji.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking out about Fuji cameras a bit last time we were working
Yeah,
together.
he definitely is a Fuji shooter.
Ray Nason, I believe. That's what he said, I believe.
Ray is also a good friend of the True Believers cast. So anyway, that's out of the way. We'll get to some more stuff next week. We'll go into more in depth about these classes next week. But we have a special guest here, Luca Slam of L3 Studios.
What a treat.
I met Lucas a few years ago, and we started shooting weddings together. I'm his. I second shoot for Lucas a lot. Try to keep him calm on his wedding days.
Yes.
Try to offer advice when I can.
You're very good at it. Very good yin and yang.
Yeah, so it's always fun shooting with Lucas. But a few weeks ago, there was a lunar eclipse, and we were going to do a talk on it, but I couldn't make it for that talk. So Lucas is here today. We're going to talk about his images from his, because my pictures were kind of eh. Will's were okay. Yours were okay, right, Will? No, not too good. But Lucas got some great photos of the lunar eclipse, so he's going to tell you a little bit about how he got them. And we're also going to talk about Canon, the new Canon cameras, and we're going to geek out about that a little bit, which is we're excited about as well.
Super excited.
So have we got some pictures up, Will? Or is that playing?
Is it not playing?
Hold on, here's the stream. There it is.
Hey.
So there it is. He was on the other
There
screen.
we
So
go. Can't rely on the amateur.
so tell us a little bit about.
Turn the volume down.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here on screen.
So, I don't really know much about the scientific part
Yeah.
of the lunar eclipse and all that, so
Yeah.
you can cover that if you want.
Wait, what does that mean when it's lunar? Is it the moon?
I think the Earth goes.
The Earth is in front of the moon, blocking the sun. How does that work?
I
think
the
Will's
Earth's blocking the sun, right? And then it's not lighting the moon up. I think that's.
It's moonfall. We're just crashing it. The
If we're
moon's
wrong,
crashing.
correct
The
us.
moon's crashing
Yeah.
into the Earth.
Yeah.
Lunar eclipses are more common, perhaps better known as solar eclipse, but they're no less spectacular from the photographic point. As the Earth moves into place between the sun and the moon, it casts a giant shadow across the lunar surface,
Okay.
drastically darkening it,
See why I didn't even attempt
plunging
that?
into a deep red hue, perfect for photography.
Yes.
Yes. So.
Well, depends. Depends on your equipment. It can be tricky. When it comes to shooting lunar eclipses, to me it's more about trial by error than it is necessarily like a scientific. Like,
Yeah.
No setting is going to be perfect for, like, I'm out in Akron, so I have a little bit of an advantage because just light pollution wise, I can
Yeah.
see it a little better. Like if you're trying to shoot it in the city a little more, it's
Yeah.
not going to be as bright and vibrant and easy to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. You know, now that we went mirrorless,
Yeah.
I was shooting with the R5, and it actually blew me away with the autofocus
Mm-hmm.
because at one point, on the point that right there on that one, that was actually pretty dark. Like you could almost not see that.
Yeah, I was having trouble. Like
Yeah.
I gave up
Yeah.
because I couldn't get anything.
I mean, that was an extended exposure of 1/4. That's why it came out pretty bright.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually not edited at all. It's
Okay.
straight out of camera. I was sending it to my phone right after I shot it. It's in crop mode, so it came about at like 17 megapixels, which you don't really have to shoot it in
Yeah.
crop mode. I mean, I was just doing it because I'm backed up with all my wedding
Yeah.
editing, so I can't really have time to load in a whole bunch of lunar
Yeah.
eclipse photos in
Yeah.
there. and I was shooting them. I was actually on the phone with my sister, going back and forth and everything. I was like shooting her photos as I was shooting it.
Yeah.
So the settings on that one were actually 3200 ISO at f2.8 at 1/4 of a second. And at f2.8, the R5 was focusing right on that moon and not missing.
Okay.
I had it on single shot. When I had my digital SLRs, more times than not, I was actually manually focusing it because it just would not pick up the moon. So that actually blew me away quite a bit.
What lens was that with?
So that's the 70-200. I started with the 100-400 when I was shooting like regular moon stuff. And then it got very dark.
Yes, I saw that.
And I was like, okay, this lens isn't even picking it up right now.
Yeah.
So then I switched to the 70-200, and that's when I used the crop mode on the camera. So what I'd like to do in situations like that with the moon, because there really is no exact setting to get it, is I like to use the HDR mode on the camera, which is basically the camera using bracketing for you. And I usually set it at about 2-stop difference. So what that is basically it takes 3 pictures and then it puts them all together to give you one final image.
Yeah.
I don't really use the final image because when you're taking shots of the moon, it almost makes the sky look a little gray. It doesn't really look natural. But it gives you 3 options to choose from, and then you figure out what settings look the best, and that's kind of your jumping off point.
So it takes all 3, doesn't just put them together?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
and it shows you right in the camera, so you can just swipe right through, be like, okay, so 1/4 looks better than 1/10 did, and everything. What's tricky about shooting lunar eclipses is the moon moves, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're shooting a normal moon, you want to shoot about 1/200th of a second. So
Yeah.
it's sharp, it's not too blurry, and when you zoom in a little bit, you still have that detail. You don't have that with a lunar eclipse. So that's where you kind of have to play around with your shutter speeds. And I came out to about 1/4 was enough where it was sharp enough where if you look at it from afar, you can really see the detail.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you zoom in on it, it is a little more blurry than I would personally like.
Yeah.
But it ended up working. The colors came out really nice. But yeah, it ended up actually looking quite a bit better on camera than it did in person.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the extended exposure.
Yeah. So what's that?
So that one, that was 3200 ISO, 2.8, 1/4, and the half eclipse, which I don't know if we have a picture of that one. It's one with like the light shining under it. Did we have that one?
I think we just showed it. The one with the light shining under it? It's not. Oh, there it is. It's right
Well,
there.
a little delay here. I was kidding.
There it
So
goes.
the half eclipse, basically where only half of it was covered, that was 3200 ISO, 2.8 at 1/10 of a second.
Yeah.
So, and that's not, I had my sister and some other people asking me, they're like, oh, is there some sort of effect on there?
Yeah.
That was just straight out of camera.
Were you on a tripod at all?
Yeah, I was definitely on a tripod, which I was telling you before I wasn't crazy about. The travel tripod that I like to use, it's great for on-the-go stuff if you do like extended exposures on waterfalls, stuff like that. But when you're doing moon and stars, stuff like that, you really want something
substantial.
solid.
Yeah.
Because when you're putting, a 200 millimeter or 400 millimeter lens on that, it's pretty front heavy. So I was kind of battling that a little bit, but it was okay. It wasn't too shabby.
So, how long were you out? Like when I went out when it was still white, because I got some pictures, and then when it got dark,
I was out for a while.
I was just like, this isn't working out for me. Someone's gonna get this, so I don't need to do it.
I was out for at least an hour playing around with stuff and seeing what lenses worked, what lenses didn't work, and for some reason the 7200 did not miss on the autofocus.
That's weird. So you didn't use the long one?
No, it was 7200. I used the crop mode on there, and it killed it. I actually brought out the 85, the RF 85 1.2, just to see how low I can get the ISO on there, and it was having a lot of trouble focusing on the lunar eclipse. I thought it was weird because you would think it lets more light in, it would focus better than the 2.8, but it wasn't.
So 7200, do you have the RF one or the EF
Just
one?
the EF one that's adapted.
Okay.
Which is, I'm more than happy with that performance on there. That's the
Yeah.
one cool thing about the Canon RF lines, or
Yeah.
the Canon R lines. You can adapt
Yeah,
anything
like
to them.
I kind of want that 7200, the new one though, just because it's so small. So tiny.
small.
It's like a little baby.
So when I'm shooting weddings, it's not smashing me in the knee as I'm
Exactly.
running around.
Exactly.
It's happened a few too many times.
So, are these coming up again, Will? Do we know? Is there
All
another,
I see is myself, and I'm not really happy about it.
is there another eclipse coming up? Do we? All right.
Yeah.
We have the other
There you
eclipse
go.
coming up in
Oh, you mean the
2024.
actual eclipse? No.
Yeah. So we gotta get prepared for that.
There's a meteor shower coming out.
Yeah, isn't that supposed to be last night or tonight? Yeah.
We gotta get a calendar of those together so we can tell people about those. That's a good idea. Write that down.
You should come out to the country one of these times. And
Well,
go
I'm in
shoot
Eden,
this
so
thing.
it's not
Yeah,
that
okay,
it's
yeah,
not
it's
that
pretty
bad.
dark out there,
Yeah,
too.
it's not that bad,
No,
but
that's a good spot.
yeah. But yeah, so that was cool. Anything else to add on the lunar eclipse photography?
No, I mean, not really.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, absolutely. I love.
I won't.
I love it. I think the moon and stars and all that stuff is fascinating to me, so it's pretty enjoyable.
I will go to bed next time.
I'm kind of a night owl, so it doesn't really bother me as much.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, because I saw some people got good stuff. I didn't get good stuff, but I'm glad some people did. So I'm glad you did.
Sometimes you get good stuff, sometimes you doesn't.
Just like photography.
Yes.
Sometimes it sucks.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not so good. But anyway, awesome. Yeah. So that's enough of lunar eclipse talk. Yeah, that's a good idea though. We'll try to get up like a calendar of like cool like photography, like like nighttime things, stuff like that people can go out and shoot, because that's a really good idea. Before we get to Canon, Sony will be in town on stop that. Sony will be in town 2 days before Father's Day, so I think that's the 17th and 18th. We're still working on what that involves, but we'll have information on our social media. But our tech rep is coming. We'll probably have a class, definitely a demo. So if people want to come try out Sony stuff, our rep will be in store the Friday and Saturday before Father's Day. Maybe just the Friday, because Saturday we might have an event going on, which we're still working on as well. So many events, it's crazy. It's crazy, Delaware Camera. June is crazy for Delaware Camera, so it's good though. So I think we're gonna talk about the R7 and the R10. Yes. So I think Will's gonna play a video and then we'll get to that.
For wildlife or action photographers who appreciate the combination of high camera performance and the smaller APS-C size image sensor, the Canon EOS R7 may be just what you've been waiting for. I'm Rudy Winston from Canon USA, and we're delighted to add the EOS R7 to the Canon EOS R series, along with 2 dedicated standard Canon RFS zoom lenses. With 32.5 million effective pixels, resolution alone would make the EOS R7 a standout new product. But within its compact form factor is a performance powerhouse with outstanding AF tracking speed and technology, and the ability to shoot up to 15 frames per second with its mechanical shutter. With the APS-C sensor's natural 1.6 times effective increase in a lens's telephoto coverage, the EOS R7 squarely targets sports, wildlife, and especially bird photographers. And it brings strong video features to content creators. Record uncropped 4K video up to 60 frames per second, and 4K fine, oversampled from 7K, at 24, 25, or 30 frames per second. Canon's superb dual pixel CMOS AF works for video as well as stills, with subject detection for people, animals, and vehicles, and excellent eye detection technology as well. Other video features include Canon Log 3 with 10-bit 422 internal recording to 1 or 2 SD memory cards, timecode, headphone socket, no more 30-minute time limit per file, and high-speed recording to 120p in full HD resolution. The EOS R7 includes in-body image stabilization, continuous electronic shutter shooting up to 30 frames per second, a weather-resistant design, a repositioned quick control dial and integrated 8-way multi-controller, flash sync speeds up to 1/320th of a second, focus bracketing, and Canon's long-life LP-E6NH rechargeable battery pack. The EOS R7's incredible AF tracking technology combines with simply amazing shooting speed for still images and 32.5 million pixel resolution. Video, stills, or both. Whether you shoot travel, landscapes, sports and action, or birds in flight, you owe it to yourself to see and handle the Canon EOS R7. For Canon USA, I'm Rudy Winston.
Rudy Winston, right? Good? All right, you guys just saw Rudy Winston's video about the Canon R7, which we don't have one here because we're not as cool as some of the influencers out in the world. Maybe one day. And with Will's guidance, we'll become influencers in the camera game, and we'll have stuff early, like all the cool guys who get the stuff early. We'll be invited down to Florida to kind of shoot soccer like Fro.
You gotta talk to Neff Knows.
Yeah, we got.
Contacts.
You're in there, man. You got it. You got the personality. You got the drive. You should be an influencer somewhere. But anyway, the man behind the camera is awesome. Just to throw some niceties at Will. But anyway, R7 and R10. Those are Canon's new crop sensor R series cameras.
The best crop sensor cameras in the world.
Well, you can't buy a Sony right now. We sell the Sony 8.
Get him all day.
No, we're not. There's no shade here, but
I am.
So Sony has like the 6100 great camera, 6400, 6600. We've got none in stock. The ZV-E10, none in stock.
That good.
Maybe. But anyway, let's talk about the R7 and R10. So, are you getting one?
Absolutely.
I think I'm gonna get one too. So I have an R6. Luca's got the R5 and R6, and I used to have a setup where I had like the 5D Mark III. Are we on this camera? That one? I had a 5D Mark III or Mark IV, and then I had the Z7D Mark II, which I've went to a few times.
Yes.
But anyway, so that was my setup. So I got the more reach out of the crop sensor, but now that Canon has the crop sensor, more reach camera, the R7 and R10, well, R7 is what I'm kind of talking about, since that's the more pro-ish version of it.
We'll start with the R7, then we can move to the R10 a little bit.
Yeah.
That's no camera to ignore either. That's
So
a
so
nice
what kind of
camera.
good stuff have you been reading about the R7?
Oh, everything.
What do you got?
So I do a lot of wildlife stuff, and before, I've been waiting forever for the mirrorless
Yeah.
R7 to come out. Because the cool thing about shooting on a crop sensor is the reach you get
Yeah.
for the price. I mean, if you look at a full frame 600, the Canon EF 600 f4, you're looking at $13,000.
Yes, you are.
$13,000. Now, if you put a 100 to 400 on the R7, you're looking at a range of 640 millimeters at 5.6.
Yeah.
That's not that big of a difference.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
especially now with post-processing, if you really want to blow the background out a little bit, you can do that.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it makes wildlife photography to the masses a lot easier,
definitely.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's very, very cool. And the other thing, not only do you have the extra reach with just the crop sensor alone, you get the 1.6, so
Yeah.
it magnifies it by that. It's 32 megapixels.
Yeah,
So even then you can reach into it and
Definitely.
get even closer,
definitely.
which is amazing. And I mean, if you go down just the specs, I'm going to be looking down because I got specs written
Yeah.
down a little bit here. You get 15 frames per second.
Yeah, mechanical shutter, right?
Yeah, mechanical. I mean,
Yeah.
that's insane. If you look at the R3 and all those things, I mean, it's like a mini R3 almost.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then you get an absurd 30 frames per second when you use the electric.
I want to mess around with that a little bit. I heard like there's some issues, but I saw.
Yeah, if you're like kicking a ball or throwing a ball, the ball might be a little warped. But if you're doing wildlife, like, when a bird's flying, their wings are kind of
Yeah.
weird anyway, so you're not going to see that big of a difference. But the one thing about mirrorless, which is kind of an important thing, it's not just for R7 alone, but
Yeah.
is the blackout in the EVF. Like, I do a lot of birds in flight, and the blackout is just basically because it's on the sensor.
Yeah.
So the sensor's reading that image, and when the shutter comes down, it gets in front of it for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
When you have a digital SLR, you're shooting through the reflected mirror in that, so you don't have that. So that's a little bit, if you're following the bird and all of a sudden it's blacking out a little bit, birds move fast, they're
Yeah,
erratic.
yeah.
So if you want the same effect on a mirrorless camera, you basically shoot in electric shutter mode because it just has the white box
Yeah.
and it doesn't actually give you that lag a little bit. So that's one thing about the mirrorless cameras that I like a lot.
Yeah.
And you can dumb down that 30 frames per second, so you're not just filling your buffer up like crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Is the buffer on that Was it?
So
How
I
big is that?
I actually had to search a little bit to
Yeah.
get that information. I do have that somewhere. It's actually, that was one thing that people were talking about.
Yeah.
Here you go, buffer. So you can get 51 raw images straight, or 42, wait. Yeah, so 42 with the electric, 51 with the mechanical. The thing about getting around that, I mean, 51 is a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, chances of you needing more than 51, I mean, if you're shooting like an NFL game or something and you're a guy's think he's going to score a touchdown, you're spraying like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, 51's a lot, but a way of getting around that is if you use Canon C-RAW, which is actually an amazing
small RAW, yeah.
mode. I mean, I've put images C-RAW and RAW right next to each other, and I can't notice the difference.
Yeah.
And it's half the size, so you're filling up your buffer less. You can get 187 C-RAW images
That's
on the
crazy.
buffer. So, I mean, that's more than you would ever need
Yeah.
in all reality. I'm just pumped about this camera. I think it's going to be fantastic. The EVF's great. It's 2.36 million. You got the autofocus system, which to me, in cameras, the two most important things ever is autofocus and exposure.
Yeah.
To me, those things are huge because if you have 30 megapixels or you have 15 megapixels, it doesn't matter if the image isn't focused.
True.
That resolution's not going to matter.
Yeah.
And that is the best thing about this camera. The autofocus is just disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Some would say that's better than the Z9.
I heard that too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely better than the
I
Z9.
don't know about Sony though.
It's I've heard that it is a touch more reliable in lower light situations.
We'll see.
Yes.
I mean, I shoot Canon. Like I've always told people, like, you know, if you got a system, stick with it.
Yeah. Sony by far, their autofocus system's been amazing up until this point. I think Canon has pulled up on.
Did you ever have a Sony
Yeah,
system?
I had an A7 III that
Yeah.
I used. I tried out for weddings because Canon was a little late to mirrorless games. I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to try it out, and I did. I loved it. I thought it was a great camera. And then I heard the R6 was coming out, and the only reason I didn't stay with Sony is because I just have such a catalog of Canon lenses. So I like to play around with Sony, but they are good cameras. I do like them.
Okay, Will.
Does that make you feel a little better?
No.
Yeah.
Will's ultra pro anyway. He's got Ace 4, 3, FX6. He's fully invested in Sony, which all this is filmed on Sony. If people didn't know, so.
Well, if someone came up to you and was like, "All right, I'm just starting out in photography. What ecosystem should I come in?" It's a hard decision because if you go with Sony, there are a lot more affordable options on lenses. The Rokinins, the Tamrons. Well,
They have third-party lenses.
Yeah, that's
Canon
the thing.
and
They're
Nikon
open
don't.
up to third-party lenses.
Yeah.
So I mean, Canon's just starting to roll out their cheaper line of lenses right now. I mean, like when I tried out Sony, I was using the Rokinins, and they were sharp. They focused fast. They were good. I had the Tamron 28 to 75, 2.8, which was a great lens. So I'm hoping Tamron actually
It'd be nice. I mean,
comes to Canon a little bit. I heard rumors.
I've got all my red ring lenses, so I'm not.
Ooh, fancy, fancy.
Seriously, I shot a wedding like last Saturday, and I brought the 2870, 70-200, and that was like it. Like that's all I used. Like
for wedding work, all I use is the L lenses.
35 didn't come out at all. The one, even though I brought it with me, it didn't come out at all. It's like, it's cool. It's like, it's cool to have those red rings.
Well, 28 to 70 is just.
I like that.
Not the flex. Anyway, and like shooting, like speaking of, not to, we'll talk Canon. Shooting in low light at concerts, ridiculous. Like the amount of quality you get, even at f2, because that's one of the cool things. Like you have an f1.4 lens in the past, you couldn't shoot a 1.4 because you weren't sure if it'll be in focus. But like these focusing systems now, everything locks on. It's great.
And the ISO is not holding you back anymore.
It's absurd now. It's almost like cheating.
I mean, I sent you a couple pictures of like 16,000 ISO, and it's
absurd.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's absurd
you
how
would never even think of that.
How good you can get stuff now. But yeah, so the R10, that's gonna be more of like a.
Well, there's one thing about the R7 we didn't touch upon.
What's that?
Is they took a chance on the R7 body and they combined the joystick.
I saw that,
and the dial. And when I first saw it, I was like, okay, that looks weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I watched a lot of reviews on it. People love it.
It looks like a circle saw
Yeah.
with a thing in the middle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, if you're shooting, you don't want to pull your eye away,
Yeah.
and it's all in one spot.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to find it on the back of the camera. I'm excited to try
Yeah.
that. I think that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. If people want to pre-order, I think we have like one person on our pre-order list so far who
You
actually
can get
came-
behind me on that one.
we'll put you on the list. So yeah, he came in day after the announcement, already had like set up. That guy does wildlife as well. I forget what his name is, but yeah, he's a regular customer. But yeah, he does wildlife as well. He just was like, yeah, I'm getting that. I'm pretty excited about it. So so that thing is pretty cool. That whole dial on the back and stuff. I've been trying to watch all sorts of videos, trying to find Reddit threads about the R7, everything I can take in about it. But
Well, and the one awesome thing about it too, it is a small camera. It's small. I mean, it's smaller than the R6.
yeah,
It's smaller than the 90D. It's smaller than the 7D, which is I can't wait to actually see ergonomically how it feels.
are they doing a grip for that?
So I think there are plans to do a grip. There's nothing right
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
And grips are hard to find even in general right now.
It's
Everything's
kind of
hard to find.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of like what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Grips. No, lost my train of thought. Sorry. My bad. Sorry. Well, go on. Keep talking.
Well, let's see what else we haven't talked
I
about.
do that often.
It has the processor in the R7 is the same processor in the R3, the R5, and the
Yeah.
R6, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, this camera is coming in at $1,500.
Yeah, it's kind of a chance that Canon's taken by doing that, like, because everyone tells you like the focus system's exact same as like the R3.
But it's not technically, because the R3 is a stacked sensor,
Yeah.
so it has the readout a little quicker, where the R7 is just a regular sensor.
Yeah, so there's none of
So,
that weird.
inherits the algorithms and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, but it'll be interesting to actually see them if you could, you have an R3 here, when you get the R7, actually
Yeah.
kind of see them side by side. But
Yeah.
after what I've seen, reviews and shooting and all that, it looks
Yeah.
extremely sticky when it comes to the autofocus system.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool.
Yes.
Stop.
Well, I have to find a way and an excuse to tell my wife why I need it.
Yeah, you do need it.
Yeah.
No, we've been waiting forever for to get like a crop sensor just so we had it. And I'm just happy that that's cheaper, because I was waiting for like an R6.
I was kind of surprised at the price point when it came in.
Yeah, I thought it'd be like an R6. Like an R6 even used now is still $2,000, so you can't get one cheap.
And especially after they came out and said Canon has to inflate the prices a touch just because of what's going on. But I mean, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Body's not weatherproof, but it's what they call weatherproof and mirrorless now, which if you put it up against the old R7 or the 7D, the 7D was a brick. I mean,
Yeah.
that thing, you could just bury that in the sand, be in a rainstorm, not worry about it a little bit.
Oh really? I'm not gonna try that.
You can try it now. You're getting the new R7.
I gotta
You're not
sell
gonna
that
worry
thing.
about that. Could be another video. What it could, withstand.
That's
So-
actually an interesting idea.
There was a video way back when, I don't even know who did it, where they took the original 7D and they like froze it in a block of ice. They
Yeah.
threw it down a flight of stairs and it never stopped. It still worked after
That
all
hurts
that.
my heart.
Yes, yes. It was pretty cool though. It was cool to see.
Yeah, that hurts my heart like crazy. But so the R10, which is like kind of the little brother. Oh, the R7 also has 2 card slots, which the R10 doesn't have.
Yes, and they're the same. They're the SD
Yeah.
slots, which is kind of nice. I mean, you don't really, HS2. You don't really need the CF Express in that
Yeah.
readout wise.
I'm kind of I have all these CF cards for my older cameras. I'm gonna have to send those away to the dinosaur. It's like they're gonna be gone. So sad to see them go. Although if someone buys my camera, I'm probably gonna include 100 CF cards.
That's what I did.
With
When I sold my
Need CF cards? Who needs CF cards? Who needs CF cards? I got a bunch of them. So the R10, people were saying that it's gonna they thought it was gonna be like a Rebel, mirrorless Rebel, but it's a little.
It has the feel of a Rebel,
Yeah.
similar size,
Yeah.
but the stats just blow the Rebels out of the water.
Yeah, it's a little pricier than a Rebel. Like a T8i is 8.
So it's
body
not-
is 749, so this is 979,
Yeah.
so it's a little more expensive.
Yeah.
We
Which
did-
still $979 for what this camera does.
Yeah, we didn't
is
talk price on the R10, which R7, which is
$1,500.
1,500.
Which is
Oh, that's what I want to talk about. That I lost my train of thought on. There's not many crop sensor R lenses out now. They got that 18 to 150,
yes.
15 to 45, and that's it.
But
But
it has the RF mount,
yeah,
which gives you unlimited possibilities. I brought some stuff here that would
Yeah.
go on there. So What I'm extremely excited about is putting the 24 to 240
Yeah.
on the R7, because that's going to give you up
So
to
1.6.
384.
On that small of a lens.
Yes, on
That's
this
really cool.
small, like if you put this together, it is going to be super tiny. I'm very excited about it. It's the perfect zoo lens. Because when I go there and I have my boys running around, acting all kind of crazy, I can't have a giant lens just hanging around.
Yeah.
This, I mean, look at that, feel that.
Yeah.
That's
Whoa.
so small and compact.
Yeah, it's nice and small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go into, you know, if you're doing some family stuff or just lifestyle photography, you have the new primes that they came out with. I mean, they have the 50 1.8, which is absolutely just tiny. I mean, you put that on that body.
So what's that on a R7? That's
85, right?
85. So 85 1.8.
Yeah. So 85
R7.
1.8 in that type of package, and that's the full frame body. Imagine that on an even smaller body.
Good for street photography.
Yes.
If
Very,
you're,
very
if you're
light.
into such things.
And then you have the 16 2.8, which is the same exact size as the 51.8.
Great
which is
lens.
Insane.
You know, because I always look like a lot of people like say the quality kind of is kind of whatever on this, but
I think it's sharp.
yeah, I think it's really sharp. I used it the other day, and I think it's
Well,
good.
another thing too is the adjustments. What do they call that? The in-camera adjustments weren't loaded in the Lightroom for a while.
Yeah.
So people were kind of thrown through a loop when they saw how obnoxious it was. But
Yeah.
with all the processing they have now, it's amazing. Once you have that, it's in Lightroom. Distortion is like next to nothing on it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was doing research on stuff like this camera or this lens when
At
you
24,
shoot.
you see black
you
in the
see the black in the
corners.
corners,
Yeah,
but
it's
it
wild.
corrects it for you.
And like my favorite thing that would be the most. Oh, I just dropped my mic. I'm messing with your stuff over here. Amateur hour.
Rare right now, brother.
Well, it's a good thing we're at a camera store in case anything goes on. But
Hey, Nathan, you still on the UHF system?
Oh, we got that ordered, right? So it's coming soon.
this is what I'm extremely excited for putting on.
Oh yeah,
So this 800 millimeter, which is just, look at that.
yeah.
I mean, it's super light, and it'll be an equivalent of, I think, like 1200
Yeah,
millimeter.
1.6.
And I mean, look at this thing. And you could take that around, do whatever you want. If you were to try and walk around with an 800 millimeter old digital SLR
I wish we had
lens,
one to kind of compare it. Like
You used to
weight
have
and
to wear
stuff.
like the belts with like the stick thing in there to keep it, you
Yeah.
know, like, I mean, you could literally walk around with that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be, I'm so excited because there's a couple critics that are like, oh, well, they don't have a lot of lenses yet for, you know, the RF stuff. I mean,
That's
I
the
think
thing, though,
they're
like,
coming out
with
with great stuff.
All these systems though, like the adapters work perfectly. Like people like in their mind they think the adapters don't work as well as
Right.
but they work perfectly.
So I have these just because they were cheap and like I love using them for my boys and family stuff, and I want a small compact thing. But when it comes to the wedding kit, the only RF glass that I bought was the RF 85 1.2 because I saw it. There was a deal, $2,000. Had to jump on it.
Yeah.
And it blows my socks off. But everything else, I mean, I use the 24 to 70. I use the 7200 all off, you know, the EF mount, and
Yeah.
they work better than they worked on the digital SLRs.
Yeah, they're amazing. It's kind of crazy how good they are.
Like the original 50 1.2 EF was almost unusable on digital.
That's what I've
SLR
heard. Yeah,
bodies.
that's what I've
It was
heard. Yeah,
terrible.
that's what I've heard.
It was like if you had one in focus, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even use it at weddings. I couldn't trust it.
Yeah.
I put it on the R6, R5, dead on focus every single. It's like a
Yeah.
completely different lens. It's a little sharper because of the focus accuracy. It's
Yeah, I had a customer today I was telling her about. She should go mirrorless because the focus on mirrorless is ridiculous. Like if you haven't tried it, you need to try a mirrorless because it's like a whole different world. It's like a giant step forward. Being able to use your lenses wide open, amazing.
so it's I always laugh because you know you have professional photographers who are like, oh well, it's not the camera that makes you a better photographer. It's the photographer, which is true in a lot of aspects. But if a tool makes your life easier as a photographer, I really think that will reflect in your work. In digital SLRs, when you used to focus, it would focus, recompose, and you could almost, your mind had to be in two different spots because you have to worry about the composition and then focus at the same time. Now, you literally just point it, goes right on their eyes, and all you have to worry about is your composition. So, I mean, I think any tool that makes your life that easy is great.
I always, when I sell people stuff, I always tell them that like a more expensive camera gives you a better chance of getting a good picture.
Yes.
And that it does because it's better focusing, better
Like we
low
said
light
before,
performance.
autofocus is the most important thing.
Yeah. If you can nail it, you can nail it, you know,
Yeah.
so it's good. So, we talked about the R10 enough?
Yeah, no, we can be talking about a little more. So the R10, it drops down resolution to 24.2, which is still
Good, yeah.
it's a crop frame. That's
Yeah.
still great on that lens.
Yeah.
You still get the 15 mechanical
Mm-hmm.
frames per second, which is still mind blowing at the price point
Yeah.
of less than $1,000. You get 15 frames per second.
Yeah, definitely.
23 electric, which is they had to drop it down a little bit to kind of give that R7, a little more.
I know how that works.
Yeah.
Take out some features,
The buffer is significant. Well, I wouldn't know if it's significantly, but it's 29 for
Yeah.
raw images, so that definitely drops down. But if you were to do C-RAW, you get 157, which is
Yeah, it's not bad.
fantastic. And this is actually kind of a pretty big deal. So your max shutter speed on the R10 is 1/4000, which if you're using a 1.2 and you don't have an ND filter, which with mirrorless cameras, I almost never use ND filters now because you can jack up your shutter speed so high.
Yeah.
On the R7, it's 1/8000.
Okay.
So if you were trying to use, a 51.2 and you want to get that 85 equivalent and blow it out, get that bokeh, you're going to need some sort of filter if you're in, broad daylight. So that's a little big of a thing, which is funny because usually mirrorless cameras that have the electric shutter, you can jack up the shutter speed to like 16,000 or something crazy, but they chose not to do that on the R10.
Yeah.
So
another good thing about these two cameras, I think both of them, they got rid of the recording limit. So if you do video, you can record as long as you want. And they say overheating might be an issue, but the people I've seen have tested it, no problems with overheating on those. So,
which was blown out of proportion when it turned 5K. I think Canon did a little. Canon, the way they advertised it, they really pushed the 8K. They really pushed the video on that, and it's really a stills monster. That camera is a stills monster, and it happens to do 8K video, and you can do some cool stuff with it. I think it was a little.
Yeah. Another thing too, like when I was learning about video, because I have very limited knowledge of video, but when people shoot video, like your shots are very short anyway. You're not sitting a camera on a tripod and recording like your thing. Your little like 7-second bursts of whatever if you're doing like serious videography.
I guess that's one thing we kind of left out on the R7, R10. I'm just strictly a stills photographer, so I don't really know much about. I didn't look at much about the video aspect of these cameras, which you guys might know a lot more about that than I would.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Yeah. R10's not weather sealed.
R7 is.
R7 is, and the body is quite a bit smaller, super light. I mean, it's awesome.
I think the R10 is coming out after the R7. I thought the R7 was earlier, like late June, and the R10 is late July.
I heard that, I heard July for release date on the R10.
So, anyway, so I think we've bored the people enough.
I could dork out
with our geekiness
forever.
But hopefully you enjoyed this little dive in. And if you want to reserve the R7 or R10, give us a call. Our list is pretty short. I know, like if you go to like the B&H's of the world and the Adoramas of the world, their lists are probably like hundreds deep.
I've had more success finding stuff with you though than I have B&H and
Thank
Adorama.
you.
Really,
Thank you.
I'll pre-order on there, and just because of the delays, I'm waiting forever. But then all of a sudden you shoot me a text like, "Hey, we just got an R3. We just got this." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Or you got an FX6.
Yeah, which is the hardest camera to get in the world, and we just happened to get one for you, Will. Pass on the back.
Well, Delaware's got the hookup.
Mark Miller. Thank you, Jim.
Until everyone hears about it, and then we don't have a hookup anymore. But that's good though. That's a good thing though.
Yeah.
The more we can get, the more we will get. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this little deep dive, and we will talk to you next Tuesday at noon with hopefully another cool photographer or vendor or someone who's got something interesting to say.
So. Having me back next week.
Thank you for coming in, Lucas. Appreciate it.
Locally owned and operated for over 50 years, Delaware Camera is your #1 spot for all your camera needs: education, accessories, printing, and more. Located at 2635 Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. Visit cameraspot.com.